What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Cultivation Nation. Got a tomato plant update coming, how we're gonna feed it, what we're gonna feed it. Got some worm castings, some Gaia green, and some bat guano. The reason why we are feeding it, and yeah, just an all-around update. So if you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And coming at you hot with Bentley. This is stepson here. He gave me the tomato plant when the tomato plant was how big?
When it was maybe like this.
Exactly.
This big.
Short little tomato plant. He gave it to me. I usually grow all plants from seed, but he gave this one to me, so we grew it out here. And as you can see, how tall are you?
4'5", 4'6".
4'5", 4'6", and the tomato plant is pretty tall.
Yeah.
Basically a little taller than him, so it's doing great here. The reason why we are feeding it today is because if you can see on some of the lower leaves, we got some yellowing, which tells me that the plant is using its own nutrients because it's eaten everything in the soil from the last time we fed it. So here you go, cameraman, hold that down. So I'm gonna take this here rake and I'm gonna scrape away my rubber mulch, right? So I'll do that off camera. And then I'm gonna have Bentley add in some bat guano, added phosphorus because the plant is technically in bloom. Some Gaia green, 2A4 bloom. We're keeping it organic here because we grow our plants to eat them. We don't want no synthetic nutrients in there. And some Gaia green worm castings, added microbes and nitrogen and stuff like that. It's gonna help the plant uptake the other nutrients that we're putting in there. So, all right guys, I'm gonna get to scraping away the mulch, and then we're gonna have Bentley put the nutrients in the plant, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna water it in. So we'll see you guys in about 2 seconds.
So first you're gonna want to put in 1 tablespoon of 284 Gaia green.
284 bloom Gaia green.
Yeah, and then you're gonna want to put in 3 tablespoons of worm casting, and then 3 tablespoons of bat guano. So
Right.
I'm gonna put in 1 tablespoon.
Exactly, go ahead, you're right. We scraped out the rubber mulch, and as you can see, cover crop is destroyed, but we got bare soil.
So this is the...
Bentley's got 1 tablespoon of 284 bloom.
We're gonna just sprinkle it around.
Yep. Sprinkle it around the whole plant. Oops, sorry guys, I'm gonna come over here.
So you can see it around.
Yep.
Let's just move that a bit. And then we're gonna take 3 tablespoons of the worm casting.
Exactly.
So we're gonna, like shake it out a bit, make sure it's level. And we're just gonna go around.
Perfect.
There we go. 2nd tablespoon now. There we go. There we go. And then the last tablespoon.
Perfect. And we already measured out 3 tablespoons of bat guano. So Bentley's gonna get that in there now too.
Here we go.
Awesome. So now that we have all that in there, we're gonna go in here with our hands and kind of rub it in a little bit. Make sure it's mixed up all there. You don't have to do this if you don't want to do this, Ben.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
All right, cool. So after you rub it in, try and rub it in as best as you can. You would reapply your mulch and water in. Now, as you can see, we got a couple inches here of pot. I feel like this plant is starting to maybe get root bound. And when you top dress and then cover with mulch, a lot of people don't know this, those roots come up to feed. So if you were to put plastic lining over this pot right after you fed and lifted up the plastic lining, you would see all the roots up top. So I got this pre-mixed peat moss here that also has a little bit of bat guano, mycorrhizae. I was doing a little transplanting the other day. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour the rest of this in there and fill up the pot before I reapply the mulch. So we just added the food. We didn't add too much food because the plant's coming to the end of its life cycle. So we just wanna make sure it's fed for this last little bit of bloom. And about 3 weeks ago, we had top dressed it with just the Gaia green. So we added some worm castings. The worm castings are the microbes. That's what's gonna help it break down the nutrients that we put in there. So this 284 bloom is obviously has a lot of phosphorus. It already has bat guano in it and stuff like that. And then the back guano here, I just had some I'm trying to use up because I've had it for a while. It's also got a lot of phosphorus, stuff that plants really need to bloom. So we're gonna go ahead and pour this in here, like so. Here, be the cameraman for a second.
Okay, yeah.
So we're gonna pour the peat moss in there after we just mixed up all the nutrients in there to fill up the pot. So those roots have a little more room to grow, because this plant's getting so big, I didn't anticipate this, that the wind was actually knocking it over. I had to put it on the front porch because it's so top heavy now that the wind was knocking it over. So, and this is pre-amended peat moss, guys. It already has stuff in it that's gonna serve the plant some good. So we're gonna put that in there. Plus this is also gonna help that nutrients we just put in there. It's gonna work like another layer of mulch and keep that nutrients in the pot. I'm gonna add a little more. And then we're gonna show you how we're gonna water it in, because we're not just watering it in with any plain old water. I got a compost tea brewing, and we're gonna grab that and we're gonna pH it to the correct pH and show you guys how we water our plants in. So there's a little bit more in here. Having trouble getting it out. Stay with me, guys. Let's do it like this.
He's just picking up with his bare hands and, you know.
Getting it in there. A couple more handfuls. Alright, so that's about it on the peat moss. And I mixed in a little Fox Farm Happy Frog in this peat moss the day I was using it for transplanting. So it's like a half and half mixture of soil, peat moss, and bat guano. Things like that. So now that we have that, back up a little bit. Thank you. Now that we have that, we're gonna put our layer of mulch back on. Like so. So there's our mulch. And after we complete this, I'm gonna go get the compost tea ready. We're gonna pH it to the correct pH. And we're gonna water all this in. And in between the worm castings and the compost tea, it's a lot of microbes. It's gonna break down that organic inputs that we put in here a lot faster than as if you just put in organic inputs and watered. Then it'll make it more readily available for the plant for available uptake, and we're not going to be waiting weeks and the plant's going to quit yellowing out. And hopefully here soon we should be harvesting hundreds of tomatoes off of this plant. So that's it. The mulch is back. Plant's looking very healthy. We got tomatoes on it, little green tomatoes. Get a close up on that.
Where?
They're right here.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
If you guys see that, we got some here. There's a bunch down here. Tomatoes coming in looking like good. And up here, there's gonna be a whole lot.
There, you can see the little small ones. Yeah, I'll get a better view for you guys. Yeah, you can see little small.
And this is the tomatoes that's gonna be super sweet 100 tomato, mini tomatoes. So we're gonna put that back there. And that's it for the feeding. All right, so we're gonna get the compost tea ready. We're gonna pH it and we're gonna water them in. So I'll be coming at you guys with that in another 2 seconds. See you in a second. Okay guys, here's the compost tea. Got my little 20-watt Vivo Sun pump brewing the tea. I have a whole nother video about how to brew a good tea on my channel, guys. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. And you can go watch that video. It's an awesome video. I go into depth and detail about how to brew a good compost tea. So we're gonna grab a can of this compost tea right quick and we're gonna go water in this tomato plant. See you in a second. So here we have the Blue Lab pH meter and the Blue Lab truncheon meter. We got our compost tea right here. I just wanted to show you guys something real quick, because if you brew a tea correctly, your ppm should not be through the roof. We're brewing for microbes and good bacteria, not nutrients itself. These microbes are gonna help break down the nutrients in the soil, but your ppms in your tea, if you're using tap water, should stay right around 6, 7, 800 at the highest. And if you're using RO water, 200 to 300 is good. Like I said, you're not going for high ppms with your compost tea, you're going for low. And excuse me guys, somebody just walked by and was hollering. So we're gonna test the ppms real quick. And as you can see, 2 to 300, which means about 250. So right where we want to be. Now we're gonna test the pH, and we're gonna adjust accordingly. So got the pH meter on. I'm gonna let that read. As you can see, 8.3, 8.2, 8.1, 8.0, 7.8 we came at. So now we're gonna make that 7.8 into 6.0. See you in a second. You can pause it. Huh? All right. So our pH was 7.8. We're gonna take a little bit of this pH down, just a tiny bit. We're gonna drop it in there. We might need a little more, a little bit more, a couple drops. Probably, I'd say if we were gonna measure that, about a half of a teaspoon, not a tablespoon, a half of a teaspoon. We're gonna take our truncheon, because it's built tough, and we're gonna give it a little stir. And then we're gonna check our pH again. So I just went and rinsed these off with clean tap water. Now, I was just thinking about this a second ago. The ppms are so low in this compost tea that we're not actually gonna get the most accurate reading, because you wanna be at about 350 to 400 ppm for the Blue Lab pH meter to read accurately. Still the best meter in the world in my opinion. I know that's a strong statement. See, it's going all the way down to 3.3, so it's not going to take an accurate reading. This is when the old school dyes are good to have around when you're dealing with very low ppms in reverse osmosis water, because you're not going to get the best reading. So I put a little bit of pH down in there. I know that my tap water comes out at about 8.0, so I'm hoping that we got down to the ideal pH range, which is about 6.5. Anything under 7.0 and above 6.0 is good. So you don't want to go too low, because you'll kill off the microbes that you spent all that time brewing. They like a higher acidity, a less acidity in the compost tea. So you want a pH for brewing teas of around 7.0 or higher. But then right before you feed, you would lower that. So all we're gonna do here, guys, is go ahead and water our tomato plant in with the compost tea, and that's gonna help, like I said, break down that nutrients that we just added in, and we should be done with this yellowing. So just a little tomato plant update. Introduce you guys to Bentley. He gave me the tomato plant, and we wanted to let you know how it was doing. So if you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. We got a bunch of plants that we just planted right over here. Go ahead and show them, Ben. And we're gonna do a video on this and let you know how they're going. We grew all these, everything you see here from seed. And we're gonna do an update on the video. So have a good one, guys.
Peace.